Freeze it!
Freeze it!
The president said we should never forget the nation is still at war in Afghanistan, even though he pointed out that war does not directly touch most Americans. Wendell Goler, live at the White House for us. Wendell, President Obama found an upside to having to remind Americans about the sacrifices being made in their name in Afghanistan.
Well, you're right, John. For one, U.S. casualties are as low as they've been in 6 or 8 years, with Afghans taking more responsibility for their own security. And with U.S. troops out of Iraq, more people trust the president will deliver on his promise to bring combat troops home from Afghanistan by the end of next year, even if some people don't agree with that strategy. Mr. Obama told the stories of 3 U.S. servicemen and women buried in Arlington National Cemetery after giving their lives in Afghanistan in just the past 2 months. And he said the sacrifices still being made are very real.
America stands at a crossroads. But even as we turn a page on a decade of conflict, even as we look forward, let us never forget, as we gather here today, that our nation is still at war.
On this day, he said, we remember our sacred obligation to those who laid down their lives so we could live ours. John?
This speech today came just a few days after President Obama laid out an exit strategy for the war on terror, which Republicans are still criticizing.
You're right, John. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham accusing the president of sounding retreat and saying America's enemies are emboldened all over the planet. Now, Mr. Obama's supporters say living in what amounts to a perpetual state of war makes it easier to compromise our civil liberties, but Graham sees too many threats for the U.S. to declare victory.
Al-Qaeda in Iraq is coming back with vengeance. In Libya, you saw Al-Qaeda groups in Yemen and Libya working together. Our friends are uncertain. Syria is falling apart. We're talking about helping the rebels, but doing nothing about it. Iran is marching toward a nuclear weapon.
Graham criticized the president's call to tighten restrictions on the use of drones, saying that diminishes what he called our national security infrastructure. John?
Wendell Goler at the White House on this Memorial Day. Thank you. And